Once upon a time, there lived a girl named Ginika. Ginika was one of the most beautiful girls in the village. She was envied by other girls, and the men admired and wished to marry her. She was also one of the best cultural dancers in the village, and this even made her more attractive. One day, the town crier announced from the king that there would be a cultural dance competition between Ginika's village and the neighboring village. This was the first time the two villages came together in a competition. The best dancers were to be chosen, and Ginika and her two friends, Ifeoma and Chikodi, made up the group. They were so excited to be representing their village in the competition, and they started prepping for the D-Day. When that day came, the event held at the community center, and a lot of people were in attendance. People came from far and wide to witness the great competition. The two groups of dancers, that is, Ginika's group and the other group representing the neighboring village, were now ready, and they both performed one after the other. After the performance, the winner was announced, and Ginika's group won the competition. They were so happy to have won, and they got so many gifts from people from both villages. Everyone celebrated with them, and they became so popular that suitors from both villages came seeking their hands in marriage. Ginika, being the most beautiful among the three girls, had the most suitors. The more suitors came seeking her hand in marriage, the more it got to her head. She became very proud and would always say that she was too beautiful to be with just one person. One day, Ikenna, one of the strongest warriors from the neighboring village, visited Ginika to inform her that he was interested in getting married to her. He was the dream of every girl in the village. He was known to be a very strong and wealthy man. After letting his intentions known to Ginika, she asked him if he couldn't see how beautiful and attractive she looked. How could he come to ask for her hand in marriage without owning a car? Before he could reply her, she pushed him out of her house and told him never to step foot into her house again. Ikenna was shocked at how he had just been treated. No one had ever disrespected him that way before. He quietly walked out of her compound in shame. Her father, who saw what had happened, cautioned her and told her never to treat anybody like that again, even if they weren't up to her standard. But she didn't listen, as she was too full of herself. Some weeks later, Ifeoma went to visit her friend Ginika, and in joy, Ifeoma broke the news that she was to be getting married soon. Ginika was happy for her friend and wished her well. Ifeoma also tried convincing Ginika to stop having unrealistic expectations about her suitors, as they were human beings and not perfect. She also tried telling Ginika that time waited for no one, and she was no longer getting any younger. There were good, hardworking men that approached her, but she felt they were not up to her standards, so she would always ignore them. She was too full of herself, and Ifeoma cautioned her about it, but Ginika paid her no attention. One day, while Ginika was taking a stroll along the street, she saw a beautiful car driving down. She was curious to know who was in the car, as she knew it was an expensive car. The car came to a stop in front of her, and the driver introduced himself as Kenechukwu. He asked where she stayed, and she told him. He later told her that he had a business to attend to and zoomed off. Ginika was happy to have met Kenechukwu because she knew he had so much money. Kenechukwu visited her at her home a few times and later told her parents that he wanted to get married to her. They asked Kenechukwu about his family and where he was from, but he claimed that his parents were both dead and he didn't know where he came from. After the meeting with Kenechukwu, Ginika's parents told her that they were not in support of the marriage, as there was no way they could trace him down to his people. Her parents needed to know the kind of family he came from, so as not to send their daughter off to the wrong family. But Ginika insisted that if she didn't get married to Kenechukwu, she wouldn't get married to any other person. She failed to see reasons as to why her parents made that decision. She visited Ifeoma and told her all that transpired. But Ifeoma advised that she listen to her parents, as they had a point. There was something fishy about Kenechukwu. How could he not know his village or even have a single family member? Then where did he come from? Ifeoma asked. She told Ginika to be smart and not be moved by his money and gifts, as there was more to life than material possessions. Ginika got angry that she couldn't get the support of her friend and then stormed out of her house. Her parents, after several attempts of trying to convince Ginika not to marry Kenechukwu proved abortive, agreed to let her go since she was saying no to other suitors. Kenechukwu and Ginika finally got married. She was happy and they went to his house. When they got home, she was surprised at how below standard his house was looking for someone his caliber. She had never paid him a visit before now, and what she was seeing was different from what he had told her. She was also surprised to see an old woman sitting outside. She asked her husband who the old woman was, and he told her that it was his mother. She was so shocked. "But I thought you told my family that your mother and father were both dead," asked Ginika. Kenechukwu began to stammer. He gave flimsy excuses, saying that he didn't see the need to introduce his mother to her family, as she was already old and sick. Ginika wondered to herself what other lies Kenechukwu must have told her. The man she knew before marriage was totally different from the one she knew now. Ginika thought to herself, if he could neglect his mother and not tell her he was getting married, how would he then treat her in this marriage? Ginika lived with Kenechukwu and she kept finding out new lies day by day. She realized that he was a very lazy man and a drunk. Any little money he had, he would use it to buy alcohol and drink himself to stupor. This infuriated her so much, but there was nothing she could do. One day, she went to visit her parents and told them all that was happening. They reminded her that she was warned against getting married to someone who claims not to have any family and doesn't know where he came from, but she insisted on getting married to him. She was heartbroken and spent most of her time crying because she knew she had made a grave mistake. She was too embarrassed to even tell her best friend, Ifeoma, about it. A few weeks later, Ifeoma and her husband decided to pay Ginika a visit. Ginika went out to welcome them, and what she saw startled her. She saw that Ifeoma came with Ikenna, the warrior who she pushed out of her house several months ago, and they both came in with Kenechukwu's car. She was furious and asked what Ikenna was doing at her house and what they were both doing with her husband's car. Kenechukwu told her that he was Ikenna's driver and the car actually belonged to Ikenna. Ikenna was also the wealthy man Kenechukwu told Ginika about, who gave them so much money during their wedding, but he couldn't attend because he had business to attend to. Ginika felt really embarrassed and hid her face in shame. She envied Ifeoma and told her that she was a bad friend who went after the man she was supposed to get married to. But Ikenna cut her short and reminded her that she was the cause of whatever she was going through right now. She didn't bother listening to him when he came to visit her, and she pushed him out of her house because he didn't visit her with a car. Little did she know that the day Ikenna came to ask for her hand in marriage, he sent Kenechukwu on an errand with the car. That was why he didn't come to visit her with it. Ginika couldn't believe her husband had absolutely nothing to his name, but depended solely on Ikenna, who previously came to seek her hand in marriage. She also remembered that she mistreated other suitors who were not lazy and had something going for them. She wished she was smarter and not allowed material possessions sway her easily. Her pride got the best of her. What we can learn from this story is that all that glitters is not gold. That is, the way people present themselves may not be their true nature. So we should endeavor to also make our own findings in order not to fall victim of any circumstance. We should also remember that pride goes before a fall. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please don't forget to give it a big thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and turn on your post notification to get notified when next I post a new video. Bye!